Well, good morning and happy Thursday, Money Multipliers. I am back home. So I'm here in my home in Daytona Beach, Florida. And it's been lovely, let me tell you, sleeping in my own bed, being on the road for the past 3 or so weeks. It's been very, very nice. So I'm excited for today's episode. It's going to be something that short and sweet, but also very, very powerful just because of the message and what we've been taught up to this point in our society, specifically about life insurance. And I think about this a lot because I want to say it was 2 summers ago. We were at the Lake of the Ozarks and we were in the old condo back then. And I remember it was sometime in August because I remember it was my birthday month. And, I'm in my bedroom. That's my office at the lake house. And I had my door closed because if you know my father, he is a loudspeaker. So anytime he's on his phone calls or the Zoom calls, I got to go into my room and just close the door or I'll just keep hearing him. And even people on the other line will hear him. And I remember he just walks in, he opens up the door, he kind of slams against the hinges. He had his glasses on and he throws his glasses off the bed onto the bed. And he was like, Hannah, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. All of these folks and these people, they will buy up all of this if insurance, the homeowner's insurance, the pet insurance, the fire insurance, the flood insurance. It's all of this if insurance that people will spend buku bucks on, but they neglect the insurance that's actually guaranteed to happen. And I was like, yeah, Dad, I get it. I know. Like I'm on the same message, the same train as you are. I get it, Dad. So I really want to put into perspective the importance of death benefit on your body because, as I say all the time on this show and even the podcast show, you are your number one asset. Your ability to create, provide for yourself and your family, you are your number one asset. And if you remove you from any equation in your life, your health circle, your spiritual circle, your financial circle, your relationship circle, your business circle, if you remove you from any of those equations, what else is there left? Really, you are that foundation to the whole entire empire that you are building within your life. So welcome back again to another episode. And I'm here every single Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, going live on Money Mornings with Hannah. And like I said, a lot of people, they have no problem paying the premiums on car insurance, phone insurance. But when it comes to life insurance, a lot of us kind of drag our feet and we say, no, I'm self-insured. I don't need this. And honestly, most of us as Americans, we're all underinsured. So what does it really mean, our insurability? And I know a lot of people think, well, my insurability means that can I qualify for life insurance? And it is, even with this infinite banking concept, it's not a right to own a whole life policy. It's truly a privilege. And what the underwriters are always looking at for you is they take into consideration your age, your health, your lifestyle. Hey, are you a heavy drinker? Are you smoking marijuana or tobacco? Have you had 7 DUIs in the last 5 years? The insurance company really looks at that, even to the point of your financial status, right? They look at your income, your net worth. Have you had any bankruptcies in the last few years? Do you owe lots of money in back taxes? And they look at all of that and they essentially put a dollar amount on your life. And that's what the death benefit is. They're putting this dollar amount on you. And a lot of people, we kind of even lowball that death benefit. So I know specifically when it comes to the infinite banking concept, a lot of us are programmed to always think about high cash value, low death benefit. And I think if y'all really understood why we even have cash value in a whole life policy, you will understand the reasoning for the death benefit. Because literally, just to sum it up without getting into the weeds, because this is one of my segments I'm going to get into at the Denver Mastermind, just so that y'all understand really the mechanics of a whole life policy and why we even have cash value. But you can't have cash value unless you got death benefit. So for all my people saying out there, hey, well, I want as high cash value as I possibly can with the least amount of death benefit, you're just not understanding it. And that's okay, because I get it. Y'all aren't in this world like I am day in and day out, not understanding truly the mechanics behind a whole life policy. And that's the thing too. Why is life insurance such a taboo concept? It's almost got the same rep as like a car salesman. You know what I mean? And I get it. It seems like everybody and their mother has their life insurance license, and all of your friends or your family members who have it, they're trying to sell you on all of this life insurance stuff. So I get it, but when you put it into the perspective of using the living benefits and designing a policy for high immediate cash value, as Nelson Nash says, I mean, you don't even got to worry about the death benefit, because the insurance company, when you start to stack policies on top of one another, I mean, you'll be surprised with how much death benefit the insurance company will even give you. So, and what I mean by that too, when you start to stack the policies, as Nelson refers to it as, is you are expanding your banking system. Because how I think about my policies is almost like they're each individual branch office of my bank. So I have 8 branch offices, right? And it doesn't matter which one I go to, just like in the world that we live in now with the conventional banking system. I can go to the Wells Fargo on Nova, or I could go to the Wells Fargo on Dunlawton over here in Daytona Beach, right? Doesn't matter which office I go to, they're still the same branch office. And so it's the same thing within your policies. When you start to open up those different branch offices, you can pull from whatever location that you want. And now each location also comes with a bonus, a cherry on top of the cake, of more death benefit from each individual policy. And yes, okay, a question I get a lot, and a lot of people don't know this, is that you can have multiple policies on your body. On you alone, you can have more and more policies. You're not just limited to the one. So I want to share this resource for y'all. Let me pull it up. I'm going to share my screen, because I want to show you guys a tool here. Share screen. Share it. But then let's add it to the stage. Beautiful. Now let's also get this little banner out of the way too. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I'm pulling up oneamerica.com. The reason I'm picking on One America is because on their website, there is actually an economic life value calculator. So that's what they call it. When they're putting the death benefit on your body and looking at you as a whole, there's this calculator that the actuaries really work off of to see, hey, how much death benefit does this individual qualify for? So if I come in here and I hover over for individuals and I go to life insurance products, click on that button, scroll down. Now I want to say it's underneath here, whole life insurance. I click this button that says learn more. Now I give my feedback to One America. I said, guys, you guys got to put this more up towards the front of your home screen instead of digging it all back here. But when you get into this screen, you can see the economic life value calculator. So when I click on that, it pulls up this little pop-up box. Let's make sure you can see that. Yep, good. So how much life insurance do you need? Life insurance can replace some or all of the income and other contributions you make to your family in the event you're no longer around. You can more accurately estimate how much life insurance you may need when you know your economic life value. And this calculator below shows 3 methods of approximating your economic life value. Now, not to get it confused with all my Austrian economics out there, or economists, excuse me, with EVA, economic value added. And we should do a whole segment on that now too. I got to make a note of that. But not EVA. This is ELV is maybe what I want to call it. So when you get in here, you're going to select your current age. Let's just say that I'm 45 years old. I'm 45 and my targeted retirement age. Now, I will say this, I personally don't believe in the word retirement. Retirement is not in the Bible anywhere. And in my opinion, retirement means that you stop serving God's children. But let's say that you don't want to go to that W-2 job anymore. You want to do some other stuff within your life, right? So let's say my retirement age is, let's just go with what everyone says, which is age 65. Now, I'm going to enter your current income. What is my current income? Let's say that it is $125,000 a year. When I press on this calculate button, just on income alone, it's telling me that I should have at least $2,500,000 of death benefit on your body, because they're looking at this one just aspect of the income factor. Your income factor is the product of your current income and a default income factor. Income factors use historical life insurance data and project economic conditions. So it's essentially saying that if you were to pass prematurely, how much death benefit would you need to leave to your spouse or whoever it is, your dependents, your heirs, when you pass prematurely, because they're going to need that money to sustain their livelihood. I mean, that's really what life insurance was created for in the first place, was it not? It's to essentially protect you and your future ability to produce and support for the family. So if something were to happen to you, that money will get paid out tax-free to whoever you listed as your beneficiary, and then they will use that money to then go and pay the bills, pay off mortgages. I got farmers, y'all. A lot of my farmers, they've had these farms in their family for generations. And let's say that there's debt on the farm. What would really suck is if they don't have the proper financing in place, that if that head of the household who owns the farm, let's say they pass prematurely and they don't have the death benefit or the income coming in to pay their debts or their dues, and then they lose the farm. I mean, that's a very critical, important factor just within their life, because they want to keep that tradition and this asset within their family. And then what they'll do is they'll use the cash values of the policy to go and finance the equipment that they need. I don't know if Mr. Tim is listening right now, but I'm thinking about you, Tim, and your farm that you have. I'm thinking about Miss Jen out there in Vermont, and I'm thinking about her dairy farm that she has. And, they need this source of financing to keep up with the equipment, the needs, the livestock, when they buy it or sell it, whatever it is. So they'll use the whole life cash values today to do all of that financing of the equipment during their life. And then at the end of it, when the time happens, then the death benefit will get paid out to whoever they listed as their beneficiary. And as I say that too, I would really encourage y'all, if it's been a while, let me move up my screen. becoming your own banker. Okay. Go to the equipment financing chapter. I want to say it starts on page 54. That's a good place to start, especially if you are in business and wanting to use your policy for business purposes, why we're using the policy to do so. I'm thinking also about, shout out Mr. Sam. I'm thinking about you, man. He lives close to me over here in Florida in Daytona Beach, and he has a whole bunch of appliance stores. All right. And so like every quarter, he's got to go out and buy more equipment for the stores, and he will use the policy to go and fund for those specific purchases. So getting off topic there, because I really just wanted to talk about insurability and death benefits. But, hey, there's a lot of layers when you can get into how we're using properly structured whole life to finance things throughout our life. And I'm even listening here to the silence and just the voices in my head. And I'm thinking about, because Nelson Nash would always say this too, like within his live seminars, he would say, your need for financing cash during your lifetime far exceeds your need for the death benefit. So if I can solve your need for the financing cash, you will have plenty of death benefit to leave to your family and your heirs. And so that's what we're doing. I'm really kind of working it from a backward structure. But I'm not just stopping at one, right? I mean, I'm opening more and more policies to use the cash values, being able to store my wealth somewhere. But as I keep expanding, that death benefit keeps stacking on top of each other too. So it gets pretty powerful. Even mom and dad right now. I mean, we just did the whole calculation when I was with them last week at the lake. That was where I was broadcasting from. You could see Lake of the Ozarks behind me last week if you watched me on video, because, hey, also the show goes on as a podcast show too, just audio only. But when I was out there, I was thinking about how mom and dad, when we did the calculation on all of the policies that they have on their bodies, if mom and dad were to pass at the age of 65, there's a death benefit bucket of 32 million that's going to get paid out to the trust, the kids, whoever it is, right? I know who it is, but let's just say whoever it is. And so with all of that money that gets passed down, you can kind of see how the wealthy families remain wealthy because they understand the wealth transfer from generations. That money, I mean, I'm telling you, that's plenty of dollars. Dad's actually to the point where he's like, okay, guys, when you guys get this money, what I really want you to do is you guys should start your own conventional bank. And I was like, but Dad, I don't think I want to start my own conventional bank because that just means I'm contributing to the problem now. But I had this idea. If we do open that traditional bank, we could have our own little back corner like office where we teach the infinite banking concept. So then I can deploy them back out and they can go be their own bankers, and then they no longer need me anymore. I don't know. We're just trying to figure out what mission and really just what we want to do within this life. We talked one episode about legacy, and legacy is not just all about money. It's about mindset, the traditions, and what you leave to your next generation. So a lot of my people too, like when I'm traveling on the road, I was just in Chicago, doing a presentation out there for a group of real estate investors. I was in St. Louis doing 2 TV segments. Actually, what was cool is one of the TV segments, it was an hour-long session, and we actually got into talking about life insurance and using the policy for your banking. So that was a lot of fun, just kind of getting it out there in like mainstream media. That was really, really fun, really cool. But when I'm traveling and I'm teaching on this stuff, I know we lead a lot of the time with the cash value of everything, and we kind of neglect the insurance and the death benefit. But a question I get a lot is, well, Hannah, what if I'm not insurable? What if I have uncontrolled diabetes? Or maybe I have a felony on my record that happened 15 years ago. I got diagnosed with testicular or breast cancer not too long ago. Can I even qualify for this? Can I even do the same strategy in my life? And the answer is yes. I'm going to get into a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to explain, even if you don't think you are insurable, how you can continue to practice this and leave a legacy for your family, for your own life. Hey, money multipliers, just real quick. I know times are crazy right now. We're in very uncertain times, and that's why we need to come together and thrive as a community. So coming up, Denver, Colorado, October 9, 10, and 11, the Money Multiplier team, we're going to be out there hosting a live mastermind for you. My folks who have policies, want to build and strategize on the empire that you have. And for my dreamers who you haven't started your infinite banking journey yet, but you want to connect and be with the like-minded people so you know you're on that correct and right direction. So I want to see you down there. So myself, my dad, Brent Kesler, Chris Noggle, we're all going to be together in the one location. So check the link out down below for more information, or you can visit themoneyMultiplier.com/mastermind 2025. I'll see y'all in Denver. All right. So hopefully I'll see a lot of y'all in Denver too. I see you, Shane, in the chat box there. Shane, I'm excited for your session, my dude. This is going to be so much fun. And then Dexter, you've been going to all the events, but I don't see you signed up for the mastermind. I hope to see you out there because I hear you. You being in California, especially, all my people are like, Hannah, you never come and see us. You always stay on the East Coast. Yeah, because East Coast is just easier for me. I'm a little selfish. Okay. As, my mentor always says, he says, appeal to self-interest. So that's why I'm holding it in the Denver area, just for a lot of my West Coast and Mountain Zone people. But I encourage y'all, okay, to go and figure out your economic life value, because what you can also do is you can actually take convertible term policies out as well. Okay, but Hannah, I thought we didn't want term, because term is just renting insurance. It's just, it's only going to be there for that set amount of time, and then it's just going to expire out. I don't know if I really want to do that. I'm just wasting my money away. And really only 2% of term policies actually pay out. Isn't that what you told me, Hannah? Yes. I hear you guys. But listen to me on this. And then I'm going to answer that last question that I kind of prepped y'all with. But listen to me on this. There can, at some point, come a time in your life where you can't qualify for a policy anymore. I have a family member. He's got uncontrolled diabetes. Now it's controlled. We just researched this yesterday. We have insurance companies that will consider him. So now he's going to go and obtain another policy for his banking system. But I have had people come through, thinking about one gentleman in specific, where he went through the whole entire underwriting process, got approved for his policy, got cold feet, never started. A year later, he comes back wanting to reapply, get approved again, and something came up within his medical records. Insurance companies won't touch him now. What was my last episode last week? What's the cost of doing nothing? Well, his cost of doing nothing is he can no longer apply or get approved for life insurance right now, right? Or if you are the type of person that right now, we're tight on money. I don't have the cash flow, and I just can't afford these premiums into this policy, because you're telling me, Hannah, the minimum that you want to do inside the policy is 10 times your age on a monthly premium. If I'm 50 years old, that's $500 a month for the policy to be designed properly for this infinite banking concept. I don't have that $500 right now. So a solution: get convertible term insurance. I made my sister-in-law, Allie, get convertible term insurance. Why? Because my older brother is the one who was on kidney dialysis for a long, long time. No insurance company will touch him right now. He had a kidney transplant. I don't know if they ever would. I got to ask deeper questions there. If there's like a waiting period or something. But I said, Allie, you are the only insurable parent within this family. So yeah, you got I think they have 4 or 5 policies that you already have. She just started another one just this past August. But you still have, based on your income and your business between you and Sean, you guys still have more death benefit eligibility that you could be getting. What I would do is just go and get the cheap convertible term to max out your body. And then the convertible aspect of it is you can convert that term into permanent whole life, and you don't have to do any underwriting for it. I'm about to do this on my body, honestly, because right now I'm a little maxed out. 8 policies. I got a lot of cash flow going towards those policies. I just can't really start any new ones right now on the whole life side. So I was thinking coming in 2026, I want to max out my insurability so that when I'm ready to keep expanding and starting more policies, I don't got to go through the underwriting process. Because y'all, last time when I got my policy, I had to do the exam because based on, just the death benefit that I was buying, the exam was required. When they drew my blood, I passed out. I did not think I was that type of person that I don't like it. I don't like needles. I got a fear of needles, okay? So now I know anytime that I got to get my blood drawn, I lay myself on the couch and I said, okay, do it now. I closed my eyes and I surrender. And I said, dear Lord Jesus, please help me through this. But if there comes a time where you get diagnosed with a cancer, a huge health concern, there was even one story. I was talking to a gal. She was in her 50s, and she has a sister who got into a very bad car accident, and now she's no longer cognitively there. She can't get approved for the policy. But if she had the convertible term, no matter what happened, once that convertible term is in force, you can convert that term anytime throughout the length of the term, right? Because there's different ones out there. You could do 10 pay, 20 pay, 30 pay. I'm saying 30 pay, sorry. Whole life. Let's do that again. 10-year term, 20-year term, 30-year term, right? You can select the term that's there. And then if it's any time within that term, you can convert part of it or all of it into the permanent whole life insurance. And then now you got the peace of your mind saying, okay, well, one, if something were to happen prematurely, I still got this extra death benefit. The family's protected. 2, if something does come up in my health, I still have the convertible term and I can keep opening permanent whole life policies on my body. And 3, it's really just the peace of mind, right? The peace of mind that you're protecting your family. And I get it, because times will change, your priorities will change, and what's important to you now may not be important to you in 2 years, even a year from now. So I know a lot of people too who get into this whole infinite banking space. I'm thinking about Walter in our podcast we filmed just yesterday. He runs Alchemist Nation for a lot of my real estate investors, deep into syndications and whatnot. He was a huge anti-IBC because they called him Scrappy Walter. And because he was just having all of his money flow and he would be using this borrowed money, and he just really didn't have any money because he was always just operating off of the flow of other people's money, refinancing, doing whatever. He's like, it just doesn't make sense. But now because I'm married, I have my young son, and now I'm actually having capital on hand and I need to store it somewhere. This makes sense for me. So it almost kind of made me realize that where people are at in different parts of their life, they can see and understand the benefits of why we do this. And some people who are just very anti don't truly get it quite yet because their priorities are just not in alignment quite yet, my opinion. So to go back and answer the question though, what if I do have some health concerns going on and I can't get approved for a policy? A lot of the times you guys ask me the question, well, Hannah, what will make me not insurable? And instead of spending my breath and just answering all the components that don't make you uninsurable, what I say is I say, well, tell me what's going on. Is there any health concerns that you have? Or what are you thinking about? What's going on? And then they open up and they tell me. But if you are the type of person that you have diabetes, you're fine. As long as your A1C is at a level 7 or below, the insurance companies will definitely consider you. Obviously, if it's more than 7, no, not at the time. If you had cancer, but it's been over 5 years that you've been deemed cancer free, insurance company will consider you, assuming that no other flare-ups or anything has happened since then. If you even have a felony, depending on what that felony is, if it's been over 10 years from that, lack of better words, discharge date, insurance companies will consider you. Again, depending on what the charge is, right? My people who have been on probation, who've been in jail, you can do this, assuming you turned your life around and there's been some time. I would suggest 2 to 5 years since that charge date. So don't just think and assume that, oh, I'm unhealthy, I'm bigger round than I am tall, that you can't get approved for the policy. Okay, so just ask the questions. Y'all know how to get a hold of me. Here, and I'm going to put my email right there. You know how to get a hold of me if you ever want to talk through your specific scenario. But even if you are uninsurable, okay, I'm going to use my family member. Even if you are uninsurable, you can use another person's body to put the policy on. Sean puts all of these policies on his wife. He's got I almost said 2 little girls. Sorry, Christian. He's got 1 little girl and 1 little boy. Not so little anymore. I guess Tori's now 16 years old, which is crazy, and Christian is 12. But he puts policies on his children. He runs a business. Get this, he literally puts policies on the people within his business, his workers, his key employees, because God forbid if something were to happen, he needs the resources to find a replacement. So literally what he's doing is he's using the cash values to go and buy the rocks or the mulch. I couldn't think of that word for a second. He would go and use the cash values to buy the mulch for the landscaping and the property management that he does in North Cap. So he'll use the cash values, but then he has that peace of mind that if something were to happen to this key employee of mine, I'm going to need this death benefit and those resources to go find a replacement. Because if I don't have it, I'm going to be spending a lot of money and time and energy to go find the replacement. And I'm going to have loss of income within my business because there's such a vital role within my business. So there's so many deep layers to this. So again, I'm going to add this to the screen here. I encourage y'all, so go out and look at your economic life value. Just get clear on that. See how much that you do need. And then if you're not ready to expand your banking system, just consider thinking about a convertible term policy and the benefits that it could have specifically for you and your family. So actually, one of my clients, the whole reason I'm doing today's episode on this is because one of my clients brought this to my attention, that he was like, hey, I was listening to one of your old episodes and I think I want a convertible term because I got my wife, I got my baby girl, we got another baby that's on the way right now, and I just want to make sure that everybody's protected. So that is really all that I have on today's episode. Just looking over my notes here. Oh, I forgot to say this. Get this. There's a saying that I love, and it's most Americans are overinsured on the trivial and underinsured on what matters most. So again, think about it. your cars, your houses, your gadgets, but we hesitate when it comes to insuring our own lives. And that's the thing too. You know, it's kind of funny. A lot of you guys want to underinsure yourself. Think about it in this perspective. If I have this brand new house, am I going to insure the house up to the value of what it's actually worth? Or am I going to do half of the value that it's actually worth? Your car, are you going to insure your car up to the value of what it's actually worth? Or are you going to insure it a little bit less than what it's actually worth? Because seriously, if something happens, you need the full value of that asset restored. I don't know. I get a little grumpy with this whole conversation because it's like, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. It makes sense to me, but I know it's not traditional thinking and traditional mindsets, especially when we're talking about life insurance, and especially when there's big old gurus out there, the buy term and invest the different sorts of people, you know? So, and if you're thinking on that wavelength, the buy term and invest the difference, we need to have a conversation. I'm going to show you my resources, especially if you're kind of an analytical and the numbers person, where we should have that conversation where we debunk literally mathematically why infinite banking is better than buy term and invest the difference. So mental note, I'm going to write that on my little sticky note. That's another episode. I should bring Craig Yenny in for that one. So here's my challenge to y'all this week. Ask yourself, am I underinsured? If something happened tomorrow, would my family be okay? Because insurability is not forever. You can lose it with one doctor's appointment, one accident, one diagnosis. And that's why the time to act is now, not later. Again, what is the cost of you doing nothing? So reach out if you want to have that conversation. I'm always here, always chit-chatting, always educating on life insurance, protecting yourself, making life insurance a mainstream topic in today's world. So thank you y'all for joining me for another episode with Money Mornings with Hannah Kesler. Go out and explore that resource. Okay. Remember last week, was it last week? No, it was the week prior. I gave you the resource of the bankrate.com for the loan calculator. And then I want to give you this one for the economic life value calculator. Let me just put it into the chat box. There y'all go. You got the direct link now. I'm just reading some of these comments. Oh, Dexter. Actually, Dexter, that is something that I did want to chat about just a little bit. He says, old guy like me wants to look at long-term care. That's an episode that I really, truly need to get into, especially just with what's going on in my personal life right now with long-term care and just the expensiveness of long-term care. I mean, it's really taken me to the point where I think I even want to get into residential assisted living and go in that direction with my investments. But Dexter, I got you. Let's talk about long-term care on another episode, but hear me out on this. Life insurance and even long-term care, it's there, in my opinion, excluding infinite banking out of this. Let's just take the component of using the cash values today. Using life insurance and long-term care, sometimes it's really not there to make you rich, but it's there to protect your vault. It's there to protect what you have built up to this point in your life. And a lot of the people who are self-insured and just don't understand that whole concept, I would start looking at insurance, long-term care, and that different life and that different perspective. So Again, thank you y'all for being here with me on another episode. I will kind of ponder and think about what I want to do next week. Next week, when y'all see me, it's going to be a day before I head out the door to Jamaica. It's my first time going to the beautiful Jamaica country. So I'm excited for that. I have a speaking opportunity out there. I'm going to go with my one girlfriend, Miranda, and it'll be a good time. We're staying at a resort, an all-inclusive resort. I said, sign me up. You want me to come speak at an all-inclusive resort? Honey. I like food, I will be eating all day long and laying by the beach. So you can check out where I'm going to be around the country as well. If you go to themoneymultiplier.com and you click on the events calendar, you can see all of our upcoming events too. So hopefully this was helpful, just to kind of get your mindset around why we do what we do, why we even want death benefit in the first place. Because remember, at the end of the day, this is the only insurance or only thing, honestly, in our life that's actually guaranteed to happen. You're guaranteed to age. You're guaranteed to have that expiration date. And there's going to be a guarantee that Jesus calls you home one day. And that's when you graduate to the next level, is what I like to say. So I will catch y'all next Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And until then, be well, do good, and be kind to one another. Catch y'all next week.